Hello, it's Sonia here with The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today we are going to be making an ear warmer. And for this series, I'm sorry, I feel like it's heavy on the ear warmers, but I just haven't had a lot of time for pattern making. And they work up quickly and they are very useful for winter wear. So here we go. And I think it's going to be a nice one. I'm going to be using an eye hook or a 5.5mm, and I have this yarn. I used it in another project and I lost the label. I always lose labels, so I think it's a Lion brand, so if I can find the exact brand I will put it up on the screen for you. And this is going to be a continuation of my Slant series. So I think it was, well, it would be 2 years ago I made a hat called the Slant hat, and people loved it. I thought it was a really cool design too, but it really caught on. So then I made a Slants cowl and also made Slant mittens last year. So I thought, why don't we make a Slant ear warmer? Because not everybody likes hats, and ear warmers are nice because you can wear them with ponytails or buns as well. Alright, so to get started, we are going to work a chain of 72. And the reason why we're chaining instead of working a foundation row is because it worked well with a hat, but when you're working foundation stitches, this is an ear warmer, and I basically want both sides to look the same. So it kind of definitely looks more the same when you're working a chain, even though it can be a little bit more tedious, but I like symmetry and I have an issue with that. So if you do not want to make a long chain, actually we're going to chain 73. I think I said 72. We're going to work chain 73. I apologize. So 73 chains. So if you do not want to have a long chain, then you can work 72 foundation, half double crochet, and like that's how you start this Slant hat. And I can put links for the hat and the cowl and the mittens if you want to see all of the patterns. So I'm going to continue working my 73 chains and then I will meet you back. Okay, I've got my 73 chains here. So what we're going to do is we are going to work a half double crochet, and normally you would work in the third chain from your hook and then your skipped 2 chains count as a stitch, but I want my first stitch to be an actual half double crochet. So it's going to be a little bit crunched, but it's not going to show up too bad, and that can be the back of the ear warmer if you want. Alright, so here is my second chain, and we will be working in the back bump, and the reason why is it's going to look the same as when we end. So I'm just working a half double crochet, so there's stitch 1. So continuing in the back bump, working the second half double crochet, and I'm just going to continue to work half double crochet across my chain. So this is going to be row 1 / round 1 here. So I'm going to keep going, and at the end of my row 1 / round 1, I'm going to have a total of 72 half double crochet. So I'm going to work across my chain and I will meet you back. Okay, so I've got 71, I've got one more to go. Now with this pattern, this is going to fit around the head. So if this is not big enough or if it's too big, this pattern's pretty flexible. You can actually make less chains if you would like, but I'm going with a 72. Alright, so I've got my first row / round 1. So now we need to turn this into a round, and what you're going to need is a stitch marker. So I'm just using a scrap piece of yarn here to mark. This is my last stitch here. So before we turn this into a round, I am going to mark that stitch because we will be working in continuous rounds, so there will be no seam, and it's going to be really difficult once you get going in the pattern to figure out where is your last stitch, where is your first stitch. So I'm using a scrap piece of yarn. You can certainly feel free to use what you have on hand. If you have an actual stitch marker, then definitely use one of those. I always lose them, so scraps are my go-to. Okay, so let's turn this into a round. So we're going to take this, and you want this side of the half double crochet facing you. So here is the side that we just worked. So we're going to turn that over. You want this side facing you. I like to just run my thumb and index finger down because we do not want it to twist. And then here is our first stitch. So what we're going to do is we are going to be working in the third loop. We're going to just jump right into round 2, and there's a third loop when you're working half double crochet. So here it looks like a normal stitch, you know, right like that. But when you turn her over, there is that third loop. So we are going to be working in that for the remainder of the pattern. So we're just going to work a half double crochet in the third loop right in this first stitch. So I'm going to turn it over. There is my third loop. Kind of hard to tell because it's got that weird color change, but there it is, and I'm working just a regular half double crochet. So you'll notice you're going to have a little gappy there, looks like a little door. Don't worry about that. So when you're finishing, what you want to do is you're going to take your little tail that you have here in the beginning. You're going to take your yarn needle, because you will need to weave in ends. So just what I usually do is I just pop my yarn needle in here and right in the middle of this stitch. I then thread the tail through, pull the yarn needle right through there, and it just cinches that guy closed, and I just continue to weave in my end and gap is gone. So don't worry about that. No need to panic. All right, so let's, why don't we work 30 stitches and then we'll get started on the slant part. All right, so this is stitch 1. So we're going to continue working in the third loop. So we'll just find the next one. So that's stitch 2, 3, 4, and when you work in the third loop in the round, it just creates a really pretty effect. It's just a very cool looking design, and it's very like simple, but it just looks really neat, I think. And also it's kind of like a nice like squishy fabric, so really comfortable to wear too. So I'm going to keep going until I've worked 30 half double crochet in my third loop, and then I will meet you back. Okay, so I have worked 30 stitches so far for round 2, and we're still going with round 2. So what we're going to do is we are going to be working some front post half double crochets to create our slant effect. So I'm yarning over, so my very next stitch right here, we're just working a front post half double crochet. So there's one, and we're going to work 4 of them. So here is stitch 2, working front post half double crochet, stitch 3, and stitch 4. Oops. Yeah, we're going to work stitch 4. It's going to happen, whether it wants to or not. Okay, so we have started our slant part. We've worked 4 front post half double crochets. Now we're just going to continue with the remainder of the pattern. You're going to work in the third loop. So it's really easy to miss the next stitch because like this post stitch kind of covers, like it kind of overlaps it a little bit. So just pull that back. You don't want to miss that one because then you're going to decrease and it's going to mess up your stitch count. So we're just going to pop in that half double crochet in the third loop and just continue to work half double crochet in the third loop for round 2. So you're still going to have 72 stitches. You've just created 4 post stitches, that's all, but still have the same stitch count. And then when you get to your last stitch, you definitely want to pop in your stitch marker. Alright, so I'm going to finish up my round 2 and I will meet you back. Okay, I have one more stitch to go. I just pulled out my stitch marker so that I could work that stitch, and then round 2 will be complete. So you're going to have your 72 stitches, but you're going to have your 4 post stitches out of that. Okay, so I've marked my last stitch and I'm going to begin round 3. Alright, so for round 3, we are going to just work in the next 31 stitches until we get to our post stitch section, and I did not join. I'm just stitching. So you'll see a little tiny join there when you close that guy up, but it's going to be pretty seamless. And of course you're going to want the slant part in the front anyway, because that's where all the fun is. Alright, so I'm going to work my 31 stitches, and then I'll meet you back and we'll get ready to work the post stitch section for round 3. Okay, so this is stitch 30, and then we will be working 31 as I said, so you will be working in that first post stitch there, in that third loop of the post stitch. So there we have 31. So now we're going to work 4 front post half double crochets around the next 3 stitches. So we're just working around the previous front post half double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and so now we're going to go and work the 4th one here. So we've started our slant, and we're just going to keep going. So I'm going to see, you can see this one's really covered up here, so it'd be really easy to miss this guy and then just go right to that one. So you want to just pull that back and make sure you get that 3rd loop there. And then just continue to stitch around for round 3. And then of course use your stitch marker when you get to your last stitch, and then round 3 will be complete. So I'm going to keep going and I will meet you back. Alright, so we finished up round 3. So I'm going to work rounds, we're going to try working up to round 8 and see how wide this is going to be. So what you will do, so round 4 you're going to work 32 stitches in the 3rd loop, and then you'll work your 4 post stitches and then continue around. So round 5 you're going to work 33 stitches, then you'll do your post stitch section. Round 6 you will work 34 stitches, and then you'll start your post section. Round 7, I can't even count today, oh my heavens to Betsy here. Round 7 you're going to work 35 stitches, and then you'll do your post section. And then round 8 you will work 36 stitches and then do your post section. And then we're going to see how wide this is looking. We might need to do some more rounds, and as you can see my color changes are happening, so I'm not sure how it's all going to look. Hopefully it'll be cute. It might be weird. This yarn, the color changes in this yarn are interesting, is a good way to put it. So we'll see how it's looking. So I will meet you back at the end of round 8. Alright, so I've worked 8 rounds here. I think I need at least 2 more to get it as wide as I would like. I mean, you can certainly make as many rounds as you would like. So this would be round 9. So round 9 you're going to be working 37 stitches, and then you'll do your post stitch section, so you can see it right here. And then round 10 you will work 38 stitches. So I'm going to work 2 more rounds and then we'll see how she's looking. Okay, so I have worked 10 rounds here, and I think that's going to be wide enough. So if you would actually want yours wider, you could work more rounds. You would just, you know, keep working around until you get to your post stitch section, and then you would work in this first one and then work your 4 post stitch to keep with the slant pattern. But again, I think 10 is good. So what you're going to do once you have reached enough rounds, you are going to slip stitch in your first stitch to join it because you're done, and then you can cut your yarn. Okay, so then to finish this guy off, you'll need to, of course, weave in your ends, and then as I said before, you know, you'll take your tail and use that to help finish that off to give that a cleaner edge. So here is the front side of it. So obviously you'll wear it this way, and you know, this yarn has some like weird color changes, but I mean, I think it works in its own weird, quirky way. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and I thank you so much for watching.